rise from your grave.
Hey guys, first off, we want to thank everyone for the support and encouragement helping us deal with our very first ever hurricane evacuation. Luckily, we didn't see any real damage, and also luckily, we will be heading home up north again in a few weeks, but we wanted to thank everyone for the love. We just got back in town tonight after the evacuation, but we wanted to do a really short video about this new Time article. Most of us probably already know a lot of this stuff, but it's still important to go over for anyone who hasn't heard about it yet. So let's take a look. Sealed Jeffrey Epstein court documents name at least 1,000 people. A judge must decide whether or not to release them. The names of at least 1,000 people appear in sealed court documents associated with Jeffrey Epstein, a court heard on Wednesday. Whether to make them public is the latest skirmish in a year-long battle that continues to play out even after Epstein's death. So, obviously, not every one of these sealed names is going to be relevant to the investigation that we're all working on, but far more than just a few of them are going to end up possibly being critical. The revelation came after attorneys for a John Doe asked a federal judge in New York not to release the names of people who were not directly involved with the 2015 defamation lawsuit filed by Epstein accuser Virginia Roberts Giuffre against Epstein's longtime confidant Ghislaine Maxwell. So, a John Doe asked the judge not to release the names. There might be a legitimate reason not to release a few of the names, but anyone involved with criminal activity should absolutely, definitely be released, and I think anyone watching this probably agrees with this. So, the case was settled in 2017, but the details are only just now emerging. A day before Epstein's death in August, a massive cache of documents from the suit was unsealed, revealing accusations against prominent figures including former New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson and former Senator George Mitchell. Within the files, Giuffre alleged Maxwell acted as Epstein's madam and was one of the main women who Epstein used to procure underage girls for yada yada we all know. Richardson and Mitchell both denied the allegations and said they had never met Giuffre. Maxwell's attorney did not respond to a call or an email requesting comment, but she has repeatedly denied the allegations in the past, of course, both in public and in court documents. And we've talked about all of that at length, and we'll be doing a series on those documents as soon as possible, so let's continue. Lawyers on behalf of John Doe filed a letter to the court this week asking Judge Loretta Preska to reconsider how the court unseals further documents from the case. The letter said Doe has no knowledge of the contents of the sealed materials and referred to him as a third party of the case. But the letter said it is clear that these materials implicate the privacy and reputational interests of many persons other than Giuffre and Maxwell. Okay, so that's pretty interesting. Do you guys have any guesses to who this anonymous John Doe might be? It seems like he really doesn't want any further information to be unsealed, at least from those court documents. So it's safe to assume that he's probably got an interest at stake here. We'll skip a few paragraphs here and there, just stuff that everyone already knows. But of course, the full article is linked in the description, along with all the unsealed documents that we have access to so far. And let's see here. Maxwell's attorney Jeffrey S. Pagliuca said that the documents include 29 depositions that could include dozens, if not hundreds, of names. He said that in attached documents, there are literally hundreds of pages of investigative reports that mention hundreds of people. Pagliuca also pointed to a piece of evidence he called an address book and said it probably includes 1,000 names. So I guess for now, we'll just have to hope that this judge understands how important it is to make this information public. There could absolutely be missing puzzle pieces all over the place in these papers. So let's hope that we get to see them sooner rather than later. There's no indication that any of the individuals named in the sealed court documents had any knowledge of or any involvement with Epstein's alleged crimes. Epstein was a famously social person who associated with both former President Bill Clinton and President Donald Trump. In a 2002 New York Magazine profile, he said, "I invest in people. Be it politics or science, it's what I do. Okay, that's important, and we can't stress enough that just because you knew or talked to Epstein, or did business with him, or whatever, that doesn't mean that you were involved in his depraved crimes, or that you even knew about them for that matter. We're strong supporters of the idea that you're innocent until you're proven guilty, but at the same time, we know for a fact there are multiple powerful people who have not faced justice for their direct involvement, and that's what we're trying to focus on. So Nick Ackerman, a former federal prosecutor in New York, says that an important factor in the judge's decision on releasing the court documents will be whether any of the people named in the documents raise privacy concerns. Duh. It'll be a matter of balancing their privacy against the public's right to know what happened, he said. He predicts that the documents will be released, but some names will be redacted. Of course, obviously. What could be the legal implications for anyone who is named? It depends, says Mimi Roca, a MSNBC legal analyst and former federal prosecutor. Individuals could be implicated in the sex trafficking conspiracy if they were even minimally aware of the age of the girls being exploited and participated or furthered that exploitation in some way, she explains. But just because someone's name is listed in Epstein's address book isn't enough to make someone chargeable with a crime. We would need to know details about what the book was used for and actual conduct of the individuals listed. Well, let's get moving on that. I mean, come on. If any of these people had even a vague idea of what was going on, hopefully the public will demand to see due process. We can't forget, though, the sweetheart deal that Epstein got this first time around. These are powerful people that we're talking about here, and that's why I think it's so critically important to keep this conversation alive. We just cannot afford to let this fade into the background again like it did the first time. Macaulay proposed unsealing the documents in a staggered form, starting from the back of the docket and moving forward. She also proposed only redacting social security numbers, the names of minor victims, as well as any highly sensitive personal medical information. She said that people would be notified if their name appeared, and then they'd be given the opportunity to object. And, that sounds pretty good to me. Obviously, I would like to see the entire collection released all at once, unredacted. But this does seem like somewhat of a realistic compromise. Let us know what you guys think, though. Pagliuca argued that system would be inefficient because a huge number of people would have to be notified for documents that might end up not being released. He argued instead for grouping the documents into 3 categories, determining which documents should be released, and then notifying individuals in those documents. And again, I'd like to see all the names released, but we can't assume that everyone is guilty just because their name appears. I guess we'll have to keep an eye on this and see how it goes down, but in the meantime, we still have hundreds of pages of the other recently unsealed documents to continue to go through anyways. It looks like we all know the rest of this stuff in this article. It's nothing new at the end. But we want to thank the 110-man army for sending us this article. Please keep the requests coming, guys. We also really appreciate the viewers that are helping us out by reading through these available documents and court transcripts and sending us the important parts that they come across. We're right there with you doing the exact same thing. So please don't forget to check out the links in the description and look at all of this stuff for yourselves. Just be ready to not sleep for a few days if you haven't seen it yet, because these transcripts and papers are full of nightmarishly disturbing stuff. It's going to take us a few days to get back up to speed. Hurricane Dorian kind of threw a wrench in our normal operation. I mean, I literally had to pack up the entire apartment to evacuate, but the office is the first thing that I unpacked because I wanted to get back into action as soon as possible. And it looks like YouTube is completely deranking our content now, so you probably won't get notifications for any of our new videos, but we do have tons of new content coming out soon, so don't forget to check back soon, and we will see you guys then. Peace.